We are back with Hour 2 of Red Zone Radio Sports here on WQBQ 1410, the voice of Lake County, sponsored by Bill Bryant Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Ram. And that was fun.
Thanks always to Bill Bryant, and thanks to Coach George Infeld. That's I'm fascinated because I know soccer has a dynamic following internationally, and it's growing in the United States, and I don't know the fine aspects of it, and we're not going to spend any time listening to me say, all I know is if it's 1-0, Americans think, oh, it must be boring, and I think no, that's got to be, to a passionate soccer fan, that's got to be really a neat game, because there's defensively some good things going on. Because, I just think that's fantastic. Obviously, we're blessed to have a coach with that background and that passion. And obviously, Randy being what we call a soccer dad. But that's exactly what you need, guys that support and care. Getting back to the rest of the sports, what would you like to start off with? We've got a lot of things to talk about, and we've also got individual segments. We can talk about anything from our friend Colin Kaepernick back in the news, or we can go to the. Actually, we talked in the car. I want to go a little bit further about the softening up of the American athlete, that we all have to have time off, and we have to take time off, and it is a problem if you're going to have games on TV. Games are going to be you're going to have televised games, and you're going to have games where you're promoting a certain sport, and you see ads. Watch Joe, Schmo come in and shoot 35 points, and Joe doesn't show up for the game because his coach is holding him out because he's resting him. I mean, there's got to be an obligation, and we talked about that. What do you think about the idea of maybe if you're going to sit a guy out for one game for resting him, make sure he sits out for 3?
Yeah, it's like baseball with the injured list.
Exactly. I mean, it makes sense. I know, like we talked about, and I still can't find an argument against it. Play the guy 10 minutes. Yeah. You got a superstar. You got a LeBron James. You got a Westbrook.
You brought up a great point off the air.
I did?
Yes.
Oh, boy.
That, like LeBron's not going to do it, because if he scores, 6 points in 5 minutes.
It's going to hurt his, it's going to hit his average.
Right.
His average per game.
Right.
And so that's, you're right. I think I was right. But the fact is, I think that it has a little something to do with it. But I think you give if you lay at the coach's feet, that's an easy thing to solve. Give me 10 minutes of court time, or sit him 3 days, 3 games. If he's that tired, 1 game's probably not going to do it. Give him a rest. Yep. And I mean, and if they say, oh no, but we're playing Boston next week or something, then play him. I mean, but a good coach will, I think, go over the season and pick out. He can probably schedule when he wants to do it, if he wants to do it. Yeah, that's just my take on that. And we talked a little bit on the way over in the car about Colin Kaepernick again. Why does he keep resurfacing? Right. There's a faction that seems to want to rally around him, and that's okay. Right. But they keep ignoring the big point. And they say, well, he can't get an NFL contract because there's collusion and nobody's there. He's being blackballed, I guess is the phrase they're using. And I think he's kind of blackballing himself with his performance.
I believe that's racist, and he will be kneeling about the national anthem for that.
But the fact of the matter is, sometimes it's the most simple explanation makes it's the most sense. He's just, I guarantee if he was marketable and decent as a player, I don't care. He could go out and push old ladies in the street. He would get signed by somebody.
Although having said that, I think what he did is pretty disgraceful. I don't think it served any purpose to further what he was really trying to convey.
But what he did was he got himself a lot of press. Whether it was the type of press he wanted or not, I don't worry about.
Well, I think it kind of backfired on him.
It possibly did, but I don't think it has anything to do with him not getting signed.
If you showed up with a Che Guevara shirt and Fidel Castro, I don't think we could be friends anymore.
Well, I agree with you.
So
if you're dead serious,
I don't.
If those are your heroes, you're not going to be a very good teammate. Right. I don't think.
I don't think. And if I were an owner, that's not the guy I would want on my team that I'm going to be paying millions of dollars
And
to
that's
represent
who
me.
it basically comes down to. And there's nothing racist. There's nothing anything
Yeah.
about it. It's if I'm an owner, I want a profitable team.
Absolutely.
And nobody's going to want to watch my quarterback, and nobody's
Right.
going to watch. And you might, hey, he can do whatever he wants, just like any celebrity of any sports and movies. But you can speak out, get a microphone, get a bully pulpit,
Right.
say whatever you want. But you can't have it both ways.
Yeah.
If you're going to expose yourself for what you are, and a huge faction of people don't like you because of that, for crying out loud, don't cry the blues about it.
Right, and
You just did it yourself.
And actions have consequences.
Yes.
You know,
Didn't we all
and-
learn that?
Right.
Oh,
Well, he didn't learn it.
to my mom, may you rest in peace, Mom. But I learned my lesson, I think.
Right.
But but I just wanted to get that out of the way. And let's go to the NCAA, because now you've got the big game starting to turn around. Today you got
Right.
Xavier and Gonzaga. So Xavier has been the Cinderella story, and believe it or not, I'm going to think that they're going to continue to be. I think they're going to win this game. I think they have. They just seem to have a chemistry as a team, and an athleticism that I think is going to give Gonzaga some problems.
Right.
Don't know how you feel about that, but I think that's where I'm going with the game today. I kind of like Xavier. And in the 9:00 game, Oregon versus Kansas. If Oregon had their star, who's now out for the year, it would be a toss-up game. I'm afraid Kansas is going to wear them down. I'm not afraid of it. I think Kansas is playing very good basketball and might be a legitimate, might be the odds-on favorite of the remaining teams. But right now, I think my pick's Xavier and Kansas. And if they both win, I'll tell you right now, I would think that Kansas will beat Xavier.
Okay.
But I think Xavier and Kansas, and don't know if you have any thoughts on that or anything you want to go
Wait,
with.
You're saying Kansas is going to beat Oregon?
I think Kansas is going to beat Oregon handily.
Okay.
Yeah. And as far as the games last night, they're all doozies. Well, South Carolina continues to be the talk of the tournament to me, because nobody paid much attention to them, and they're dominating really good teams. And something I don't think they're doing it with mirrors. They're obviously very, very good. And Kentucky obviously beat up on UCLA pretty strong. And while we're talking about UCLA, I have to talk about the father of that. What is it? What's I can't remember. It's LeVar. I can't remember the son's name. The star of UCLA. I'm blanking on his last name. Bottom line. Don't you really feel sorry for kids that have parents like this? That the parents are doing nothing but manipulating and exploiting their kids to get themselves some notoriety. I mean, I see it all the time, but that's where we are as a society, right?
Yeah.
With reality TV. I think the guy,
Is it LeVar Ball?
Ball, I was thinking LeVar Burton. I said, no way. LeVar Ball, thank you. That's the father.
Yeah.
And to see somebody...
Well, I just want to say this. In a pickup game, 1-on-3 with him and his two sons, I'd kick their butts.
That's right. Yeah, come to Central
That's
Florida
right.
if you're so stinking
That's
good.
right.
Yeah, Greg will beat you.
That's right.
I'll stay in.
And
I'll
your
coach.
sons.
I
will.
know that.
Yep.
But isn't that amazing? And we will fall for it hook, line, and sinker. But I can see this as a Kardashian thing.
Yeah.
He's got 2 or 3 kids that are apparently exceptionally good basketball players.
Right.
His son is apparently going to be one of the 2 or 3 guys picked in the first round. So he's obviously a great talent.
Yeah.
I haven't seen him play all that much. But now I'm at the point where I'm rooting against his son, because I don't get to root against him. The only
Right.
way I can root against him is to root against his son and hope his son screws
Yeah.
up. I don't want to watch sports that way. I just wish the guy would shut up. And what was it? Serena and Venus's dad was the same way. And somebody grabbed him and said, "Please, you
Yeah.
got probably the 2 of the greatest players ever in the history of tennis. Shut up.
Right.
Just shut up and let him play." Because I haven't seen much of the guy.
No.
So hopefully his health is okay. But I'm just saying, thank goodness, because I used to, every time they play now, you have to focus on that. Oh, that's another thing. Can I get on another rant while I'm moving? I'm rocking now. We have
Okay.
to, but now it's the idea. They're starting to do this now a lot. Let's find a celebrity or somebody in the stands that we have to focus on. I don't know if you've been watching
Oh, yeah.
that, but we got a cute kid, or we got a celebrity, and we got and I'm not picking on Julie Louis-Dreyfus or that little kid, or because they do it even with Xavier, with Bill Murray. They got to find the celebrity to see if he's happy while they're winning,
Right.
and losing, and upset while they're losing. And guess what they are, because they're there because they're fans of the sport. But I don't think that adds anything to the broadcast to show celebrities. But we're celebrity fixated. Somebody thinks we are.
It's
So
tough.
it is.
I see endless articles about what celebrity is with what team. It's
Oh, I
like,
know.
geez.
Like I said, if you go to the college and your team's doing well, I understand it. I don't see the need for it. I mean, if you want to do it once, look,
Right.
Julia Louis-Dreyfus is in the stands
Right.
because she and her husband both went to Northwestern, and now their kid plays for Northwestern.
Right.
That's neat.
Right.
But not every time they take the lead, and then every time they get behind. Okay, they got to cut to her, and she's mad, and she's happy, she's mad. And the one kid was screaming and crying and crying and screaming. I thought, okay, please. I'd rather watch the sideline reporter talk to a vendor about how peanut sales are going. But that's me. But I'm sorry. So off on a rant again is what I want to do. But didn't know how that hit you. But I did want. Thank you for getting up with the name, Lonzo Ball. But that's right. No, yeah, that's right. That was his name, Lonzo Ball, and his father is LeVar. And Lonzo Ball may be the greatest player of all time and might be the nicest human being of all time. But already I don't like him. And it's because of his dad.
Right.
So we'll leave it at that. Is he going to survive without my friendship? Probably. In fact, I should be calling him up saying I've had a change of heart since he's going to be one of the first guys picked. Hey, Lonzo, I'm your old buddy from Central Florida. You don't have a couple shekels you can spare, do you? I think he's going to be doing all right for himself. But interestingly enough, it's been a very interesting NCAA so far. Florida with an absolutely local flavor, unbelievable.
Well, they play
winner.
They play Sunday.
Yeah, and they beat my sleeper team in the tournament, Wisconsin, and what a great game to have that guy hit the 3-pointer. Heartbreaking, of course, for Wisconsin, but that's this new coach has obviously turned the Gators' fortunes around. And they look like as good a team as any team left in the tournament.
Right.
Kansas still looks a little bit better than everybody else, but that can change from game to game. So we'll see where that goes.
Right.
But I didn't mean to turn this into a social media show, but I just I'm up to here.
No, that's why this show is fun.
I'm up to here with LeVar Ball.
Right.
And will somebody please tell him to go sit down or go take a hike or go someplace? But because he's going to turn people against his son like he's done to me, and the kid's done nothing wrong.
Right.
He may be a great player. So that being said, we've got the match play golf, and I wanted to ask you: I wish they'd make it a little simpler to figure out. I don't know if you've been paying much attention. This is a big match play where they all line up. You have to win your flight, and then you have to move from that. Then you get into the final 16 or something. For winning the flight, you've got playoffs. So you got 4 guys in each flight, and they all end up 2-2, and then they have to play a playoff to see. It's really. There's got to be a less complicated way to do it. But I do love to watch the great golfers compete against each other in match play. So, guys, everybody's strategically playing against that guy for one hole as opposed to seeing what kind of score they can shoot.
Right.
So you see a little better shot making, more risk taking, and I kind of like it. But very, very interesting. They finally got the final 16. I think the heads of all the flights have come together. I got no idea who's still in it, but I'm still going to turn it on and watch it. So I really enjoy that. And finally, what do you know about Devin Booker?
Oh, he scored 70 points, right?
What does he usually do that?
No.
Okay. Now it's the most points by an NBA player under the age of 21
Right.
in NBA history.
And he's the 6th player, I believe, who's ever scored 70 or more.
Oh, is that all?
Yeah.
I would have thought they would load up. So that would be interesting. If you don't know if you have the list, Wilt did it.
Yeah.
I imagine Kobe did it. I imagine Jordan did it.
Right.
Beyond that, I don't
Yeah,
think any.
I don't have the list.
I don't have the so I'm not going to speculate. But that should be intriguing. I mean, good grief, to get a kid who's not even 20, and they lost by 10. That to me that means that takes a lot out of it. And you get behind by 30, so just feed Devin. He seems to be hitting. Now he gets 70 points and you lose. If that isn't the hollowest of accomplishments, I don't know what is.
And and it was a big score, 130 to 120.
So nobody was playing. Somebody got up so big so early.
Yeah.
That everybody just started playing playground basketball. Come down, no defense, let the guy shoot, and he got hot. And I didn't see the game, so I might be totally wrong. I'm just speculating. That's what happened because that seems to be almost always what happens in 70-point games, like Kobe getting 60 on his swan song or something.
Right.
Gee, I wonder who's going to shoot this one. It gets to be a little bit silly after a while. Right. But that's that being said, we've got a lot to talk about with baseball.
Yeah.
And I'm looking, I don't know if we're going to the break yet, but we will definitely. One of the things I want to talk about before the break music comes in is it didn't get a whole lot of publicity, I don't think, but what a great achievement. The United States won the World Baseball Classic.
Right. And in spectacular manner as well.
Right.
8
zip.
8 zip. And
you told me something about
Marcus Stroman, I think he pitched 6 innings, allowed only 1 hit. He had
that's shutting somebody down.
Yeah, he actually had a no-hitter going into the 6th inning. I think he gave up that hit in the 6th.
I'll tell you what. I watched him pitch. He looked to me like he had the ability to take his game to another level. Looks like he's doing it. But we can talk about I want to talk about more about that. I want to talk about the Dominicans' wonderful response to was it the Dominican or Puerto Rico? Puerto Rico. We'll talk about them, and then we got the baseball season just around the corner. A lot to talk about.
Yep.
So we'll be back with more rants right after this.
You are listening to Red Zone Radio Sports here in WQBQ 1410, the voice of Lake County. We're sponsored by Bill Bryan, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram. They are located at 3401 U.S. Highway 441 in Fruitland Park. Their phone number is 352-787-2223. And we will be talking, like Bob said, some Major League Baseball, got a little NFL stuff, and Sidney Crosby of the Pittsburgh Penguins will mention. Right. We are back with Red Zone Radio Sports here on WQBQ 1410, the voice of Lake County. And where'd you want to go next? We're talking about...
We're talking some baseball. I want to talk a little bit about the, like I said, kudos to all the stars of the World Baseball Classic. I think that's fantastic. Yeah. Unfortunately, and I know you're a Yankees fan, the only casualty, I think big casualty that came out of the competition was that Gregorius is going to be out, I think, 3 weeks or 4 weeks. But I'm not going to attribute that necessarily to the World Baseball Classic. That tends to happen in spring training game. I mean, somebody steps on it or throws something wrong and, pulls a muscle, and they end up missing the beginning of the season. But it's nothing that's going to knock them out too far. But you were sharing a little bit with me about what was going on with Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
I knew they were expecting to win, but fill me in a little bit. They said they had the shirts printed, right?
Adam Jones of the Baltimore Orioles, who played for the USA.
Yes.
He, along with other members of the American team, got a little upset. They call it bulletin board material, where the Puerto Rican national team had scheduled a big parade. Back in Puerto Rico, and they had T-shirts printed up, saying "World Champions," and the Americans took a little umbrage with that. And so Yadier Molina, he's a catcher with St. Louis.
Yeah.
He said that Adam Jones needs to apologize to the Puerto Rican people because he just doesn't understand how important it is for Puerto Ricans to celebrate, this event, and so they. Yadier Molina is all upset, and he's demanding an apology.
Well, that's you can demand one,
Right?
and I have nothing against Adam Jones, but I'm not sure Adam Jones understands, and this has nothing to do with his approach to it. But I want to. In fact, we can go. There's a little mini rant within a mini rant here because that phrase "bulletin board material," I can't believe that if somebody put on a bulletin board an article where somebody said, "I can't stand Bob Wiltman. I'm gonna beat his brains in next time we play tennis."
Right.
I don't feel that that's extra incentive. I maybe it is to a bunch of guys, but
Yeah.
aren't you? If you're paid professional athlete, aren't you giving your best all the time? You may enjoy it a little bit more. You may enjoy your victory a
Right.
little bit more, but I don't think it's incentivizing you to do something better. First of all, if you were, when do you think you plan the parades? You can't plan, oh, we won the tournament. Let's plan the parade for tomorrow, today. It's not going to happen. Now, you're right. You can say, oh, you can wait and then just wait for another month or so.
Right.
But then the baseball season started,
Well-
and you can't do it anyhow.
Well, I don't think anybody else was, planning parades.
Nobody else printed up.
I
we beat Puerto Rico shirts.
Well,
maybe I don't know.
that, but they weren't planning on parades. There's no parade for the American team down,
I don't think the Americans
Broadway
even.
in New
I don't
York
think the
City.
Americans even know.
No, in fact, part of the argument that Molina was making was that Americans don't realize how special baseball is to
to the Dominican. Yeah.
to
Or
the
Puerto
Ricans.
Ricans, sure.
But he was saying to the Latin players, and he said, which I can't believe at all, is that if you asked any team member on the Puerto Rican team whether they would rather win the World Series or the World Baseball Classic for their country, they would take the World Baseball Classic.
No.
So that's that. He lost me on that.
Yeah,
That's,
okay. So that we were buying it until you got to that one.
That's right.
that one sent that one scrambling.
And by the way, your guy Andrew McCutcheon had an RBI in that game as well.
Well, I'll tell you what. I think the other guys did a better job. Sterling Marte, I think, did a better job on one of the other teams. So some of the Pirates, I followed and watched some of the league plays, the Classic, just to watch the guys who were affiliated with the Pittsburgh teams. But
Right.
an RBI from Andrew McCutcheon.
Yeah.
Maybe he's out of his slump.
That's right.
That was all year last year. It lasted all year long.
Maybe his trade value will be back up again.
His agent's already on the phone.
And I don't know if you heard about another one of your favorite guys, Asdrubal Cabrera.
I love the name.
Yes.
Asdrubal Cabrera.
He was ejected from a preseason game the other day, and during an
Who says they don't matter?
That's right. Well, in the visiting dugout, there's no way to get out of the visiting dugout, so you have to literally walk to the outfield, and he did this very slow
walk while the game was going on.
Well, they had to stop
And wait for him to go.
and he took his sweet time to get. So I thought that was pretty funny.
I like it. I'm not sure who he's ticking off. He might be ticking off his teammates as much as the other team, but okay.
So which will of course bring another rule: when you're ejected from the game, you have to evacuate the field within 10 seconds.
Yes,
for pace of play.
You got to speed the game up.
Yes,
That's right.
yes.
You can't have guys
Right.
walking leisurely through the.
Right.
In fact, I think it's time. It's changed a lot. When I was a kid, remember when you were a kid, you had to take the field. You try to impress your coach. You'd run out to your position
Right.
as fast as you could.
Right.
Now guys like just slowly meander out
Well, that's because there's 5 minutes of commercials. You run out there, and then you got to stand there for 5 minutes.
Why can't you throw the ball around? Remember, we used to throw balls back and forth to each other. But no, you're right. I unfortunately, but
And
go ahead.
I also have another meaningless statistic
I
for you.
love those.
Jake Arrieta apparently
Yeah.
hit the longest home run ever by a pitcher, 466 feet in spring training. So, which apparently doesn't count, but
In spring training,
yeah.
does that matter?
Well, that's what no, I guess not.
No, it doesn't.
And I wonder when that stat started, because wasn't like
When did they start doing spring training stats on
exit velocity and distance
and it's 50-mile-an-hour winds blowing out of these bandbox ballparks?
Right.
Who's out there with the measuring stick? That's
Right.
what I want to know. Who's out there going, I got to run out there and find out where did that one land? It's 450 feet.
and didn't like Rick Ankiel, wasn't he like? I guess he wasn't a pitcher at the time, but he had cracked some home runs when they moved him to the outfield. Remember?
Rick, but he could no longer find home plate.
Right.
But he was also pretty much of a strikeout. He had some power and could run. Good defensive player, but not consistent enough major league hitter.
Right. But he would hit some moonshots.
Oh, he hit the ball out of sight. He could just absolutely. Richie Allen, those guys could crank balls.
Right.
Richie Allen just had flick his wrist, and the thing went into oblivion. That guy was strong.
Good.
He could hit the ball.
But I guess Jake Arrieta, Rick Ankiel played before exit velocity and distance was a thing.
Before they were running out with tape measures.
Right.
But I'm very dubious of all the records, because I still want to know when they do that now at ballparks on televised games, and that home run traveled 424 feet. I said, boy, that really? How would you know? It hit the wall.
They actually have the GPS. I don't say that that's inaccurate, because they have devices now that measure that stuff very precisely.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, then I guess I get it, but I can never tell. Does it have something to do with if it's still rising, or if it's starting to come down, or if it's lost its arc? Pretty soon you hit a ball into an upper deck of the stadium, and it can either be just lightly floating down, or it can still be traveling. So if that wasn't there, who knows how far it would have gone?
Yeah, but actually they can do the trajectory.
Oh, okay.
And
can they? Okay.
Yeah, actually,
and the speed, the exit speed, and that's what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Okay. See, I'm not obviously not being ever a scientific type of guy. I would have real trouble. You know what? There's probably a lot of things that they can do that I still swear can't be done. Right. So that's intriguing. But majoring Grapefruit League home runs.
And it's not really fascinating, because I was going to say what's fascinating, but maybe some geeks will like but they could even tell the RPMs, in the rotation of the baseball, which I find, That's a lot of
data.
equipment.
A lot of data.
Right.
Sounds to me a lot of people have really created a lot of jobs, and that's a problem.
Right.
Okay, another rant. No, I'm kidding. But
you're right.
What goes on with the guy? Is that what the people have to verify and validify their importance by telling you, I'll be the guy that takes care of doing the exit velocities and telling you how far the home runs were hit. And I think, what if he's not any good at it?
Right.
What if he's just like, he put his feet up, have some chips, and that's like 470. You don't know if he's telling you the truth or not, but that's okay. We have become that way.
Do you? I'm going to ask you a bad question.
I love this.
No, I can't remember who pitched for Puerto Rico. It was a guy from Seth Lugo.
Oh, Lugo. Julio Lugo, right?
No, I think it's Seth.
Oh, okay. There's another Julio Lugo, but you're probably right.
Yeah.
Seth, there's not too many Seths in Puerto Rico.
No, and in fact, he's from Louisiana, and his
they did one of those Olympic things.
Yeah,
you've got a cousin twice removed that lives in Estonia, so he's going to play on the Estonian Olympic team. Yeah, I see how that works. Yeah.
Well, I actually learned this, about the rotation of the baseball, because they were talking about Lugo, And when he throws his curveball, which apparently is very devastating, he had actually won 2 games before he got beat in
Beaten up.
this.
Yeah. Okay.
But he's a young guy. He's one of the Mets prospects, and I could be wrong on this, so don't quote me. But I think the revolutions per minute on his curveball was 2,000.
2,000.
Yeah, but
That's gonna be a little strain on the old elbow.
yeah, and it's like 1,000 RPMs faster than the next guy, and that's why his curveball apparently has this big bite on it. At the end that looks like you're going to be able to hit it, and then the next thing you know, it's bouncing off the home plate.
Well, the cynic in me says enjoy him while you can,
Yeah.
because anybody throwing 2,000 RPMs on a baseball
Right.
is putting a lot of torque and bend into that
Right.
pitch, and they're spinning that ball. Yeah, it's going to break.
Yeah.
2,000 RPMs, that baby's going to dance all over the place.
Right.
But how many times can your arm hold up trying to do that?
Yeah.
So we'll see. Maybe. I hope everything works out great. I hope he has a full and full career of strikeouts.
Well,
and
as a Mets
wonderment.
as a Mets prospect, I hope he has a great career.
Heck yeah! No, that's great. But no, it's just interesting. Getting back real briefly to the, we Americans don't understand the passion that they have for
Right.
baseball in Puerto Rico. Yeah, I think I do.
Yeah.
I get it. Yeah.
Sure.
All right. So I mean, it doesn't. That's still. If you print up, if you have a party schedule already posted on the bulletin board, and you got party hats and T-shirts and everything, and you haven't even played the team you're playing in the championship yet, you may want to just hide them.
Well, one of the things I wanted to actually disagree with you about when you're talking about the bulletin board material.
Yeah.
I actually think that does get you up. Because I remember playing in games where we had like an arch rival, and we actually got up more for that particular game.
Yeah, I agree with
But,
you. So you're saying if you read something in the school newspaper where Al from the competitive high school says, we're going to kick their butts, that makes you want to beat them worse? I don't think it does.
Well, no, but what I'm saying is it gives you, like, baseball, and I hate to say this, cliches.
I like cliches.
Is a marathon.
Yeah.
And it's hard to have your adrenaline up every single night for 162 games.
Do what they do in the NBA. Just sit out. Just rest a couple.
Well, they do that. They do that too.
I know they
but
do.
which makes it actually worse. But like that one, and that's one of the things I like about football that they say is that because it's once a week, those guys are just jacked up for every single game.
And that and the fact they're taking a lot of stuff.
Well, that's a different issue, I guess. But no, I think you can get up for a game because of the nonsense of another team or another player. It's so I will disagree with you on that.
Okay.
That it doesn't matter.
My feelings are hurt.
Because I'm going to say bulletin board stuff matters.
I'm here to tell you it doesn't. And we'll leave it at that.
Okay.
We'll leave it at that. I'm right, you're wrong. We'll leave it. Yeah.
All right.
Don't you like
As
people do
usual.
that? When people do that, that's right. Okay. Doesn't do us any good to fight about it, so I'm right, you're wrong.
Right.
But no, the truth of the matter is you may have a point in some. I guess it depends on it affects the individual.
Yeah.
I mean,
Sure.
I could care less, but by the same token, and then you get into the big discussion. Some people play better when they're mad, and some people play worse when they're
Right.
mad.
Well, I think what happens is you become more focused. I mean, you've seen that, and I'll use this. You've seen that in pitchers against batters that, where there is like this tension, and both of them are bearing down, unlike they do on other pitchers. And I mean, you could see it.
I'll agree with that, but that's not addressing my point. My point is, does that make them play better or worse?
What? Well,
The fact that they're focusing. Some guys have such great natural instincts
Sure.
that they just play with their instincts.
Oh,
And now
absolutely.
when you tell them, screw the instincts, you got to get mad and you got to focus on this. I'm not sure that a good player is going to say, I'll just do this instinctively. I won't worry if he said that my my wife or my kids are all idiots or whatever they
Right.
do on the bulletin board material. But the fact of the matter is, there's no way to prove us right or wrong. I agree with you 100%. So so it's up to the individual. Some guys I'm sure play better mad. McEnroe used to say he played a lot better when he was mad, and I said, "How could you tell?" He was always mad. That's why he played so well. But some guys, I think, if they start to overanalyze what they do naturally,
Yeah.
in an effort to try to focus. Some guys, I don't call it.
Well, I think that I think if you try to do that, it's bad. But if it happens, like your adrenaline is up, the wolf is in your throat.
Yeah.
However you want to.
Yeah.
However you want to say it.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point too. I like I said again. I think I'm right on almost all the issues, but you're entitled to your opinion.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I appreciate that very much. On that note, I'm going to mute you. How do you like that? You are listening to Red Zone Radio Sports here on WQBQ 1410, the voice of Lake County. We are sponsored by Bill Bryant Chrysler Dodge Jeep and Ram. They're located at 3401 U.S. Highway 441 in Fruitland Park. Their phone number is 352-787-2223. And also like us on Facebook.com/theQ1410-AM or Facebook.com/Red Zone Radio. We will be right back after these messages. We are back from Red Zone Radio Sports here on WQB2 1410 for our last segment. And I've unmuted Bob's.
Even the fans applauded that move, and I think I heard people applauding.
Now they called in and complained that I did that to you. So.
Well, I'll tell you what we've got is some interesting things to talk about, and it's always fun for me to do this part of the show where I get to do the over-under. And for you folks out there that don't know what that is, it's strictly I go to the women's tournament in tennis, and this week it's the Miami Open, so it's fairly close by. And the over-under is basically trying to predict how many people with the last name of Ova, with the ending in OVA, are going to win versus lose. And if you would have bet even, you would have been even because Kuznetsova won and Strakova won, but Makarova lost. That was an upset. Nobody expected Makarova. And Anastasia Sevastova lost. So you had two overs lose, you had two overs win.
Right.
So if you went even on the over-under, you would have won. I don't know what you would have won, but you would have won my respect. That would have been good. And now, staying with women's sports, this is a long-standing discussion that we're not beating a dead horse, but it's something I think it's always interesting to talk about. As you watch Connecticut steamroll their way to what looks like another national championship, are they in fact good for the women's basketball or bad? And I think it's very good. I really like, first of all, but that's me. I like dynasties, and I like the fact you've played sports. It's tough to win, and it's even tougher to win again.
Right.
And they've won and won and won and won and won and won and won. And is it something that is going to turn? Yes, it'll turn. One of these years, they're not going to win. And they're going to go flat for a couple of years because there'll be a new kid in town and there'll be the new rage. As long as Connecticut can continue to recruit top players in the nation, women's players, to come sit on their bench.
Right.
There's not even a chance you're going to start or play much.
Right.
But these players still are willing to do that. I mean, everybody that comes off the bench from Connecticut played on a state championship team somewhere in the United States, and they come in and they're excellent. They're better. Their third team is probably better than 99% of the teams in the country.
Yeah.
And how they continue to do that is beyond me. Obviously, the coach Ariama is a great coach, a great recruiter, and They keep you. They can, and they. It's like it's for self-fulfilling or perpetuating. Connecticut wins again, so they go out and recruit and say, "We've got this thing going. We don't ever want to lose a title game for the next 50 years." I mean, you don't let it happen. You want to be part of this. You want to be a national champion, and this is the team you want to play for.
Right.
Makes sense to me. But one of these years, it's not going to happen. They did get beat. I forget how long ago. 4 years ago, they got beat. Somebody beat them. And they're right now. They're in the tournament. And they're playing the top teams in the country,
Right.
and they're beating them by 35 points.
Yep.
So what does that tell you? The other women have to really catch up, or the recruiting's got to get tougher.
Or there's just not that much talent in the pool.
I'm afraid that you're probably right. There's talent, but not 5-player deep talent.
Right.
I can get a great player on my team. I can't get 3 of them.
Right.
I get a great player and 4 average players. We're not going to go anywhere. We're not going to do anything. Connecticut has 5 great players when they put people on the court. So the one or two super athletes, superstars that play for the other teams, you can't beat them by yourself, and they're not able to. When they try to, they end up losing by 50 points instead of 30 points. But that's always an age-old thing to discuss is, what do you think? Do you think the dominance of Connecticut basketball year in and year out in the NCAAs is good for the product, for the women's product? I'm talking about the development of it.
Right, I understand. Dead air. I
No, I didn't mean to throw that at you.
No. I'm just, because I'm trying to think, is it good or is it bad?
Well, off the top of your head, maybe you don't even have an opinion. It just, I just think that it's an elephant in the room or something.
I will say this: I don't think it's bad. I won't say that it's bad. I just don't think that it's really worth any discussion.
Well, no, that's an honest answer too.
Okay,
it's not newsworthy. It's not newsworthy in your mind.
Well,
of discussion.
I'm going to be very politically incorrect, but I don't get really worked up over women's sports. I'm sorry, I just don't.
I understand.
So that's why I don't have an opinion. I should say I don't have an opinion
based on that.
Based on the fact that I just don't get worked up over women's sports.
Okay. All right. Well, sorry I brought that up.
No,
I'm teasing. I'm just saying. The fact of the matter is that is for the better or worse of it for Greg. That's one thing you're going to get is honest answers, and he's not pulling any punches. Where any other people, they get off the air and they say, "I don't care about that. Don't talk about that anymore." He'll be honest with you.
No, well, one of the things is that, on this show is that if there's something that you feel, I don't have a problem. You can bring up anything.
But is it the fact is you don't get worked up about it because it's so dominant in that regard, or is it just you aren't a woman, I wasn't a woman, we didn't play women's sports, and if I have time to watch a basketball game and there's a men's game or a women's game on, I'll probably always gravitate to the men's game. Not because women are inferior, because I played it, so I can relate to it better.
Yes, and I've said this in the past. As a guy who can't play. Well, I mean, I can still play sports, but not at a high level.
Yeah, me too.
So you live vicariously through, those.
Oh, you're right.
And so I don't live vicariously through women's sports. And I only have certain amount of, entertainment time.
Well, that's that you're making my point, and that's exactly right. I've only got so much time,
right?
And if I now and my time breaks down, and I got time to watch. So if I'm going to watch, I got to admit I've never ever planned my night about going to watch Connecticut. When Connecticut plays for the national championship, I will not plan my night around watching the game. Yeah. And I know and they try everything they can to market the game, but they might lose. Wouldn't it be amazing to see them lose that game after 100? I don't want to see it anyhow.
Right. Yeah.
I didn't want to see him. Wouldn't it be neat if I saw him win or lose? It doesn't make any difference to me. I'm not that interested, but that doesn't demean the sport itself. It means women should be flocking to it.
Because
if women care about watching sports, that's women.
Yeah,
you should be watching.
We had the soccer coach here in the first hour. I'm not a big soccer fan, but what I am a fan of is youth sports for both boys and girls, and men and women. I think it's a character building. Uh, you know,
It's a life lesson.
yeah.
Yeah,
And,
there's no question.
And any team sport, I think, is good. It's wholesome, or it should be wholesome, and it teaches you a lot of life lessons. And see, so I'm all for, women's sports. Because it has those same character building qualities that men's and boys sports has, and it's just for me, I'm not really interested in it though to take up time and watch it.
No, that's
My
that's fair. That's a mini rant. I like it. Talking about the youth sports, and like I said, and I do find the networks. I don't hold them accountable. Or I don't think they're at fault, but I wish they'd acknowledge that they tend to promote or glorify what I consider to be boorish behavior.
yeah.
Chest pounding, looking up, to the sky, watching people get in each other's face. You can't watch a promotion for anything, NHL, basketball, without somebody showing a confrontation where two
Right.
guys are ready to get screaming, yelling,
Right.
throw punches. And I think it doesn't really need that. But somewhere there's a marketing whiz that says, "But people will watch if they think
Yeah.
there might be a fight." Okay, all right. I guess that.
Well, there was almost a fight the other night in the NHL, which is rare. It's a rare thing.
What's that?
A fight is a rare thing in the NHL, but your Pittsburgh Penguins.
Mine. They're
yeah.
not mine. Well, they are mine if they win the championship. They won.
Sidney Crosby whacked the Ottawa Senators' Mark Methot, and
Broke his finger. You said
yeah.
or smashed it or did
Yeah.
something to it.
yeah, it actually was pretty disgusting. You could see the video. I mean, I don't care. It doesn't bother me as far as the disgustingness goes.
Yeah.
But it was a pretty bad injury, and I think he lost the tip of his finger from that slash. And not only did he not get a penalty, the owner of the Ottawa Senators wants him suspended.
For how long?
He didn't say. He just said he needs to be suspended because it was not only a cheap shot, but
I saw the play. It was a. Here's what I know about hockey, and I'm not putting Sidney on a pedestal. Sidney can be an annoyer, an aggravator, and a little bit of a cheapie
Right.
whenever he feels like it. But so do a lot of other great
Sure.
players. The fact of the matter is, he slashed a guy.
right.
Now, I bet you could look at films and see the guy might have slashed him 5 minutes before that, but you're not going to see because he didn't lose his finger. Nobody's going to
Right.
make a big deal about it. But by the same token, if that is deemed to be, punishable by 1 or 2 games, then so be it.
Yeah. Well, I'm not up fully on the exact interpretation of the rules, but when he showed it to the referee, actually Crosby should have been ejected from that game under the rules, for that slash.
Well,
Because you've seen.
I will not. I'm not going to try to defend him. I'll
You-
tell you that.
You've seen players get hit in the face with a stick
Yeah.
inadvertently and not even on purpose, and draws blood, and the guy gets thrown out of the game. I mean, because that's the rule.
Well, if it's inadvertent, usually you get 4 minutes in the box. But
when you draw blood,
no,
that's
well,
when,
the way the penalties work now is you get
Yeah.
2 minutes if you high stick somebody.
Right.
If you high stick them and draw blood,
Yeah.
it's 4 minutes. But usually, if it's intentional with intent to hurt,
Right.
you'll get thrown out of the game.
Right.
But just drawing blood doesn't get you thrown out of the game.
Okay.
But
Maybe I misread.
well,
the
that's
way
no,
that,
that's no. Yeah, I think check that out again. That's the way that works. But it's interesting what you're saying because there are guys that inadvertently get a stick in the face, and you're saying here's a guy that's going to lose the tip of his finger, and there's
Right.
no penalty called. There's going to be guys with scars on their face, a big scar across their cheek for the rest of their life.
Yeah.
Because and the guy was given 2 minutes in the box,
Yeah.
or even 4 if it drew blood.
Yeah.
But the fact of the matter is, those things beget each other.
Right.
I have seen Sidney Crosby take little shots at people, and I've seen him take big shots at people,
Yeah.
but I've also seen him get shotted.
Yeah.
And the fact is, I don't live that life. I don't worry about it. But if it is deemed by Bettman to be punishable by a suspension, bring it on. I mean, what's on tape is what's on tape.
Yeah.
But I like I said, I just hope it doesn't get to hockey to the point to the other sports where everything's an instant. You have to review.
Right.
Let's see. Now they're doing it now with the, if somebody scores a goal, they almost invariably, I think the guy was offside, so you got to
Right.
go over and see,
Yeah.
And I guess that's the nature of the beast, and I don't like it, but that's where we're going with that. But no sad songs for Sidney Crosby. If he gets suspended, he deserves it. If he doesn't, he doesn't deserve it,
Right.
and we'll leave it at that. But I saw the play. I don't know if anything precluded it in terms of maybe something happened 5 minutes earlier on the ice, and he was just getting back at him.
Yeah.
But what he did was not good.
You know what? I will say, you're talking about reviews, and it's not sour grapes. All this noise.
We'll get some
coming in.
ducks.
Yeah. It's not sour grapes, but a few weeks ago, it's just an illustration. It just happened to be a Ranger game that I was watching. And I like the Rangers for full disclosure.
Sure.
But the Rangers came across the line, and they were slightly offsides, and offsides is offsides, but the referee missed it. Then they're in the zone for 2 minutes. It was a long, and they wind up scoring a goal. And then the coach of the other team did his challenge, and the goal was nullified because they were offsides. And
Well, they never went back outside the zone,
right,
even though they hung around for 2 minutes.
right,
All right.
and I thought that was
That I think that's ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, there's
If they passed it around for a minute, I think we can just safely assume that the offside has nothing to do with the fact that they're scoring the
Right.
goal. Although you could say, if you're the coach, well, they were illegally in there to begin with.
right. I mean, well, that's the thing. It's like that. That's if you saw the play go offsides, then I don't know how they do it. You throw your red flag on the ice or whatever, but I mean, you got to do it right away. You can't wait because if they cleared the zone and then went down the other end of the ice and scored a goal, then the Rangers should have been able to go, hey, we were offsides, therefore the whistle should have been blown and the faceoff should have been outside of. I mean, so to me that was
it's like tennis. I mean, if we're playing a point and you hit a ball down the alley and it was just out, but I go to get it and nobody called it out.
Right.
And then we play for the same point for another 40 hits.
Right.
And I lose the point. I go, yeah, but you missed one.
Yeah.
About 15,
Yeah,
20,
so let's
20
go to the
hits. Let's
review.
go to the
Yeah.
review. I mean, that's kind of silly.
Yeah.
I agree. So that being the case, it should be, I'm just intrigued by it. That's
me too.
Interesting you brought it up. But no, like I said, Sidney Crosby, I think, is a phenomenal hockey player,
Sure.
but he is not.
I think he scored his 42nd goal the other night.
Yes, he did. He's not above reproach. Sidney can chirp and be as much of an instigator as anybody in the league. So I don't discredit him or credit him for that.
Right.
But he ain't no angel.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and we didn't get to talk about
Colin Kaepernick.
well, we did a little bit, but
Yeah.
Brady's jersey recovery.
Oh, I
that
forgot.
Was,
Yeah.
that was a lot of fun.
That was a lot of fun. Well,
yeah.
like I said, I think there's more to be found on this. So
Yeah.
we'll see what else the guy stole besides Brady's jersey.
That's right.
That's for next week's show. We'll
right.
remember that. Thanks again. I appreciate it.
Well, thank you. And you are listening to Red Zone Radio here on WQBQ 1410, the voice of Lake County, sponsored by Bill Bryan Chrysler Dodge.